The council chamber floated in the darkness of space like a giant metal flower. Inside, representatives from 53 alien species sat in their designated seats. Some had forearms, others had tentacles, and a few were just clouds of gas held together by force fields. They had all come here for one reason: to decide the fate of Earth and its human population. Captain Taeyang Kim stood in the center of the chamber. He wore the dark blue uniform of Earth's first diplomatic vessel, the Horizon. Next to him stood Ambassador Hana Park, a woman who had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. They had traveled for 3 months to reach this place, hoping to secure Earth's place among the stars. Taeyang looked around the chamber. The aliens stared at him with eyes that glowed, blinked, or sometimes didn't exist at all. He had studied their cultures, learned their customs, and prepared his arguments carefully. Earth wanted peace. Earth wanted friendship. Earth wanted to join the galactic community as equals. The Speaker of the Council, a tall being covered in scales, raised one of its 6 hands. The chamber fell silent. "We have observed your world for 50 of your years," the speaker said. Its voice came through a translator device that made it sound cold and mechanical. "We have watched you develop, fight, and grow. Now we must decide what to do with you." Hana stepped forward. "Honored members of the Council, Earth comes in peace. We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves worthy of joining you among the stars." A representative from the Dravic Empire slammed its claw on the table. "Worthy? Your species is dangerous. You come from a death world where everything tries to kill you. Your planet has crushing gravity, deadly weather, and predators that would terrify most of our populations." Another alien, this one resembling a floating jellyfish, spoke up. "Not just that. Humans fight constantly. Your history is filled with wars, violence, and destruction. How can we trust such a species?" Taeyang felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his voice calm. "We have moved beyond our violent past. We are united now. All of Earth speaks with one voice, a voice that demands entry into our peaceful galaxy." Another representative hissed. "You have been in space for barely 200 years, yet you have already colonized 6 systems. You expand like a plague." The debate continued for hours. Taeyang and Hana presented Earth's achievements, medical advances, artistic creations, scientific discoveries. They showed videos of Earth's diverse cultures, its beautiful landscapes, and its people working together for a better future. But the council remained unconvinced. During a recess, Taeyang and Hana met with Jiwan Li, Earth's chief of defense, through a video link on their ship. Jiwan's face appeared on the screen, worry evident in his eyes. "How is it going?" Jiwan asked. Hana shook her head.
"Not well."
"They fear us. They see us as a threat." "Then we need to make them understand we're not," Jiwan replied. Taeyang rubbed his temples. "I don't think they want to understand. I think they've already made their decision." He was right. When the council reconvened, the speaker called for the vote. One by one, the representatives announced their decisions. The pattern became clear quickly. The Dravic Empire voted to enslave Earth. The Dekar, Corvian Collective, voted to enslave Earth. The Thessian Union voted to enslave Earth. Only 2 species abstained: the Vraxian Empire and the Keltorian Hive. Their representatives sat in silence, watching the proceedings with what might have been sadness. The final count came. 51 votes to enslave Earth, 2 abstentions. The speaker stood. "The council has decided. Earth and its human population will become a subject world. Your species will provide soldiers and laborers for the expansion of the galactic community. You have 72 hours to evacuate your ship and prepare your world for integration." Hana's face went pale. "You can't do this. We came in peace, and you will serve in peace," the speaker replied. "Your people will be given food, shelter, and purpose. You should be grateful. We could have voted for extermination." Taeyang felt rage building in his chest, but he forced it down. "What gives you the right?" "The right of the civilized over the barbaric," the speaker said. "The right of the many over the few. The right of those who have walked the stars for millions of years over those who have barely left their cradle." The meeting ended. Guards escorted Taeyang and Hana back to their ship. As they walked through the corridors, Taeyang saw the other alien representatives avoiding their eyes. Some looked guilty. Others looked triumphant. None looked willing to help. Back on the horizon, the crew waited for news. Minho Choi, the lead scientist, stood from his seat as Taeyang and Hana entered the bridge. "Captain?" Minho asked, though the answer was clear on their faces. Set course for Earth, Taeyang said quietly. Maximum speed. As the ship turned toward home, Hana pulled up the sensor readings. Her hands trembled as she worked. Then she froze. Taeyang, you need to see this. The main screen lit up with a tactical display. Deep in space, gathering near the edge of the sector, a massive fleet was forming. Hana's computer counted the ships. 10,000 vessels, all bearing the marks of the Council's military forces. They're heading toward the Sol system, Hana whispered. They're going to Earth. Minho checked the calculations. At their speed, they'll arrive in 3 months. Taeyang stared at the screen. 10,000 ships. Earth had maybe 200 military vessels, most of them designed for exploration and light defense. The Council Armada could glass their entire planet in hours. Send a message to Earth immediately, Taeyang ordered. Tell them everything. Tell them they have 3 months to prepare for invasion. Jiwan's face appeared on screen minutes later, after receiving the encrypted message. 3 months isn't enough time to build a defense. Then we don't build a defense, Taeyang said. We build a miracle. Hana looked at him. What are you thinking? Taeyang's eyes were hard as steel. They think we're just another species to be conquered. They think our violence makes us weak. They don't understand that our violence is what kept us alive on a world that wanted to kill us every single day. He stood and addressed his crew. Send another message to Earth. Tell them the Council voted for our enslavement. Tell them an armada is coming. And tell them this, we are not going quietly into chains. If they want Earth, they'll have to take it from our cold, dead hands. The horizon accelerated toward home, racing against time. Behind them, the Council Armada continued to gather, confident in their superiority and their right to rule. They had no idea what they had just awakened. They had poked the bear, rattled the hornet's nest, and challenged the one species in the galaxy that had evolved in hell and learned to thrive there. Earth had 3 months to prepare for war, and humanity had spent its entire existence preparing for exactly this kind of fight. The Council had made their choice. Now they would live with the consequences. The age of human submission was over before it began. The age of human defiance was about to shake the galaxy to its core. The emergency signal from the horizon reached Earth within hours. Every government leader, military commander, and defense official gathered in the United Command Center, buried deep beneath the Swiss Alps. The room fell, silent as they watched Captain Taeyang Kim's message play on the massive screen. The Council has voted 51-2 to enslave humanity. A fleet of 10,000 ships is en route to Earth. Estimated arrival, 90 days. Prepare for war. Admiral Sora Yoon stood at the head of the table. She was a veteran of the Mars Rebellion and the Titan Wars, but this was different. This wasn't humans fighting humans. This was survival of the entire species. How many ships do we have? Asked President Kato, leader of the unified Earth government. 217 combat-capable vessels, Sora replied. Most are destroyers and frigates. We have 12 heavy cruisers and 1 prototype dreadnought that isn't finished yet. Against 10,000, President Kato said quietly. We can't win. Then we make them bleed for every inch, said Jiwon Lee, who had returned to Earth aboard a fast courier ship. He stood and activated a holographic display. I've been working on something called Protocol Endurance. We turn our entire solar system into a fortress. The hologram showed the solar system transformed. Every asteroid mining station had weapons platforms attached. Satellites became kinetic bombardment systems. The rings of Saturn held hidden missile batteries. Even the moon had been turned into a gun. We have 90 days to build this, Jiwon continued. We'll need every factory, every shipyard, and every able body working around the clock. Dr. Nari Han entered the room. She had been a peace activist before the Council's vote, but now her eyes burned with determination. I have something that might help. We've been studying Earth's unique environment and how it shaped us. We can weaponize it. She pulled up research data. Every other species in the Council comes from what they call garden worlds. Comfortable temperatures, low gravity, calm weather. They're soft. We're not. What are you suggesting? Sora asked. We fight dirty. We use Earth's environment as a weapon. High-gravity combat, toxic atmospheres, extreme temperatures. We create conditions where only humans can survive and fight effectively. Minho Choi, who had also returned from the horizon, added his findings. I've analyzed the Council species biology. They're fragile compared to us. Their reaction times are slower. They can't handle stress the way we can. When we get scared or angry, Our bodies release adrenaline and we become faster, stronger, more focused. They don't have that. Sora looked around the room. So our plan is to make them fight on our terms. Exactly, Jiwan said. We can't match their numbers or their technology. But we can make every battle cost them more than they're willing to pay. The next weeks were chaos. Every human on Earth and in the colonies received the same message. We fight or we die as slaves. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Factories that made civilian products switched to producing weapons. Shipyards worked 24 hours a day. Miners in the asteroid belt volunteered to stay and operate the new weapon platforms, knowing they might never see their families again. Do-hyun Kang emerged as a leader among the civilian resistance. He had been a logistics coordinator before the crisis, but now he organized millions of volunteers into an effective fighting force. His tactical mind saw possibilities where others saw only problems. We have 17,000 volunteers in the Mars colony alone, Do-hyun reported to Jiwon. They want to fight. Give them basic combat training, Jiwon replied. And teach them to think like guerrillas. If the council lands troops, we make them regret every step they take on our worlds. Dr. Narihan worked with a team of scientists to develop what they called the equalizer weapons. These were designed to exploit the biological weaknesses of council species. Sonic weapons that disrupted their communication, thermal bombs that created temperature swings their bodies couldn't handle, gravity wells that crushed their fragile bones. It's not pretty, Nari admitted to Sora. But slavery isn't pretty either. The prototype dreadnought, named Defiance, was pushed to completion in record time. Engineers worked until they collapsed from exhaustion, then were replaced by fresh crews. The ship was massive, bristling with weapons that had never been tested in actual combat. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened. A coded transmission arrived from the Vraxian Empire, one of the two species that had abstained from the vote. The message was simple. We cannot help openly, but we can provide intelligence. The Council's fleet will approach from the galactic north. They expect easy victory. Prove them wrong. Sora studied the intelligence data. The Council fleet was organized in traditional formation. Heavy ships in the center, lighter vessels on the flanks, supply ships in the rear. They moved slowly, confident that no resistance could challenge them. They're making a mistake, Sora said. They think this is a police action, not a war. Jiwon smiled coldly. Then let's teach them the difference. Children too young to fight helped in other ways. They assembled supply kits, learned first aid, and kept communications running. The elderly shared knowledge from Earth's brutal history of warfare. Everyone contributed. A week before the Council fleet arrived, Earth completed its preparations. The solar system bristled with weapons. Every human who could hold a gun had one. The fleet, though small, was positioned for maximum impact. Sora addressed the combined forces from the Bridge of Defiance. Her face appeared on every screen, every ship, every station in human-controlled space. They're coming to enslave us, she said. They think we're weak because we're young. They think we're primitive because we still fight among ourselves. They don't understand that our struggles made us strong. She paused, looking directly into the camera. In 90 seconds, their fleet will enter our sensor range. When they do, they'll expect us to surrender. They'll expect us to beg for mercy. Instead, we're going to show them what humans do when someone tries to put us in chains. The sensor officer called out, "Contact. Enemy fleet entering the system. Configuration matches intelligence reports. Count is 10,312 vessels." Sora took a deep breath. Around her, the bridge crew worked with calm efficiency. They were scared. Only a fool wouldn't be scared, but they were ready. "Open a channel to the Council fleet," Sora ordered. The alien commander appeared on screen. It was a Dravik, the same species that had argued most loudly for Earth's enslavement. "Human fleet, you will stand down and prepare for—" The Dravik began. Sora cut it off. "No, you came to our home to make us slaves. You voted to strip away our freedom without ever giving us a chance. You thought we would bow down. You thought wrong." The Dravik's expression showed confusion, then anger. "You have 200 ships. We have 10,000. Surrender or be destroyed." Sora's smile was cold and sharp. "You wanted slaves. You'll get corpses instead. All ships engage." The human fleet surged forward. Defiance led the charge, its massive guns already firing. The Council fleet, caught off guard by the aggressive response, scrambled to respond. The battle for Earth had begun. Humanity was outnumbered 50-1. Their technology was inferior. Their ships were smaller. By every logical calculation, they should have been crushed in minutes. But logic had never been humanity's strong suit. What they had instead was rage, determination, and a willingness to die rather than submit. The Council was about to learn a harsh lesson. You don't conquer a species that evolved fighting for survival every single day. The first human ship to die rammed itself into a Council cruiser at full speed, destroying both vessels. The Council commanders watched in horror as more human ships did the same. This wasn't how civilized species fought. This was madness. It was also effective, and it was only the beginning. The Battle of Luna raged in the cold darkness of space. Admiral Sora Yoon watched from the Bridge of Defiance as her fleet tore into the Council armada, with a fury that shocked the alien commanders. Human ships didn't retreat when damaged. They didn't call for help when overwhelmed. They fought until they were destroyed, and sometimes even after that. Commander Yoon Ji-song led a squadron of 20 fighters toward a Council flagship that was 3 kilometers long. The massive ship bristled with weapons protected by shields that could withstand anything humanity had built. At least that's what the Council thought. "All wings, listen up," Yoon-ji said over the comm. Her fighter twisted through incoming fire with moves that would have killed most pilots from the G-forces alone. "We're going to fly straight down their throat. Target the main engines. When we're inside their shields, we detonate everything we have." "Commander, that's a suicide run," one of her pilots said. "I know," Yoon-ji replied. "Anyone who wants to live can break off now." No judgment, no one broke off. The 20 fighters dove toward the flagship. Council point defense systems filled space with deadly fire. 3 fighters exploded. Then 5 more. Yoon-ji felt her ship shudder as a blast tore off her left wing. She compensated, flying with just thrusters now. 10 fighters left. Then 7. The flagship loomed ahead so large it blotted out the stars. "Now," Yoon-ji screamed. The remaining fighters punched through the shield at point-blank range where the generators couldn't adjust fast enough. They slammed into the engine section and detonated their entire payload of missiles, bombs, and reactor cores. The flagship's back third simply ceased to exist. The great ship went dark, spinning helplessly in space. Yoon-ji's fighter was gone, but her sacrifice took down a vessel that could have destroyed 50 human ships. On the medical frigate Mercy, Dr. Hyun Bayek worked in controlled chaos. The wounded came in faster than he could treat them. Burns, decompression injuries, radiation poisoning. He had been a surgeon in Seoul before the war, saving lives in quiet hospitals. Now he saved them while explosions rattled the hull. "Doctor, we need to evacuate," a nurse said. "The Council is targeting medical ships." Hyun didn't look up from the soldier he was treating. "Then they're violating galactic law." "Inform the Council we're a medical vessel." "We did." "They don't care." Hyun's jaw tightened. He finished sealing the wound and moved to the next patient. "Then we keep working. These people fought for us. We don't abandon them." A Council destroyer locked weapons on the Mercy. But before it could fire, 3 human fighters appeared from nowhere and tore it apart. The pilots never said a word. They just protected the hospital ship and moved on. On the Bridge of Defiance, Boram Shin hunched over her console, fingers flying across the keyboard. She was an intelligence officer, and she had just cracked the Council's communication codes. Now she listened to their commanders panicking. "They're not fighting like any species we've recorded," one alien captain said. "They're insane," another replied. "They're ramming us. They're detonating their own ships." Boram smiled. She typed quickly, injecting false orders into the Council network. Suddenly, 3 Council cruisers received orders to fire on their own flagship. They hesitated, confused. But the orders came with proper authorization codes. They fired. The flagship's shields collapsed under friendly fire. "Sora, I've got them confused," Boram reported. "They don't know which orders are real anymore." "Keep it up," Sora replied. "Every moment of chaos is a victory for us." The battle raged for 16 hours. Earth's fleet was down to less than 100 ships, but the Council had lost over 6,000. The math still favored the aliens, but their commanders were shaken. They had expected an easy conquest. Instead, they were in a knife fight with an enemy that refused to die. A Council admiral named Throcken watched the battle from his command ship. He was a veteran of 50 campaigns, had conquered 20 worlds, and never lost a battle. But he had never fought humans before. "They fight without honor," his tactical officer said. "They use tricks and lies. They sacrifice themselves willingly." Thraken stared at the tactical display. No, they fight with total commitment. Every human vessel is willing to die for their cause. Can you say the same about our forces? The tactical officer was silent. Order a withdrawal, Thraken said finally. Pull back to the edge of the system. We need to regroup. Admiral, the Council will see this as failure. The Council isn't here dying in the void, Thraken roared. I am. Withdraw now. The Council fleet pulled back, limping and broken. They left behind thousands of destroyed ships and even more damaged ones. The humans had lost 70% of their fleet, but they had won. On defiance, Sora allowed herself one moment of relief before the reality set in. Casualty report. The numbers were devastating. 20,000 dead, 15,000 wounded. Most of Earth's fleet was gone, but they had proven something crucial. Humans could fight the Council and win. Taeyang Kim's voice came through from the horizon, which had joined the battle. Sora, we're picking up a transmission. It's from inside the Council fleet. Someone's trying to contact us secretly. The message appeared on screen. It was text only, no identification. You have achieved what we thought impossible. The Council fears you now. Do not give them time to adapt. Strike hard, strike fast, and make them regret their vote. Who sent this? Sora asked. Unknown, Taeyang replied. But whoever they are, they're on our side. Jiwan Li appeared on another screen, his face grim. Sora, our scouts report another Council fleet forming at the Arandis sector. 20,000 ships this time. They'll be here in 2 weeks. Sora felt the weight of command pressing down on her. They had won today, but barely. Another fleet twice as large would finish them, unless they change the game entirely. Jiwan, how many ships do we have that can still fight? 43 if we count the damaged ones. And how many can make a jump to Council space? Jiwan blinked. Maybe 30, why? Sora stood, her decision made. Because we're not waiting for them to come to us again. We're taking the war to them. The bridge crew stared at her in shock. Taeyang spoke first. Sora, that's insane. We can't invade their territory, why not? Sora asked. They wanted to enslave us. They started this war. Now we finish it. We don't have the numbers to fight defensively. So we go on offense. We hit their worlds, their stations, their infrastructure. We make them hurt so badly they beg us to stop. Dr. Narihan's voice joined the conversation from her lab. I have something that can help. Weapons designed specifically for Council biology. Non-lethal mostly, but effective. Jan Beck, exhausted from hours of surgery, added his voice. Our people will follow you, Sora. We've proven we can win. Now we prove we can conquer. Dohyun Kang coordinated with resistance cells across human space. I can organize ground forces. If we're landing on alien worlds, we'll need soldiers who can fight in any environment. Sora looked at her battered fleet, her exhausted crew, and her determined allies. 2 weeks wasn't much time, but it would have to be enough. Send a message to all human forces, Sora ordered. We're launching Operation Vengeance. The Council wanted war. We're bringing it to their doorstep. They'll learn that you don't cage a predator, you just make it angry. The Council had withdrawn, thinking they would regroup and crush humanity with overwhelming force. They didn't understand that retreat was the worst thing they could have done, because now humans knew they could win, and a human who knows victory is possible will never stop fighting. The war for Earth's freedom was entering a new phase. The hunted were about to become the hunters. The galaxy was about to learn why humans had dominated their death world for millions of years. Not because they were the strongest, not because they were the smartest, but because they never ever gave up. General Yuna Im stood in the cargo bay of the assault ship Hammer, watching her Marines prepare for the first human planetary invasion in history. These weren't soldiers from any one nation. They were volunteers from every corner of Earth and its colonies, united by a single purpose: make the Council pay. 5 minutes to drop, the pilot announced. Yuna checked her armor one last time. The target was Zorlax Prime, homeworld of the Zorlian species. The Zorlians had voted enthusiastically for Earth's enslavement and had provided a quarter of the Council's invasion fleet. Now they were about to learn what it felt like to be invaded. Listen up, Yuna addressed her troops. The Zorlians are amphibious. They breathe through skin gills that require high humidity. The plan is simple. We take their atmospheric processors and crank up the heat. Make their world uncomfortable enough that they surrender before we have to kill them all. A young Marine raised his hand. General, what if they fight? Yuna's expression was cold. Then we remind them why Earth is called a death world. They wanted our planet. We'll show them what our planet made us. Meanwhile, in orbit, Admiral Sora Yun commanded what remained of Earth's fleet. 31 ships against the Zorlian home defense force of 200. The odds were better than the Battle of Luna, but still terrible. All ships, Sora broadcast. We're not here to conquer. We're here to send a message. Hit hard, hit fast, and make them feel it. The battle began. Human ships moved with desperate speed, using tactics the Council had never seen. They dropped mines that looked like debris. They fired missiles that split into dozens of smaller warheads. They used the planet's own satellites as weapons, crashing them into Zorlian ships. On the ground, Yuna's Marines landed in the capital city. The Zorlians had prepared for invasion with traditional defenses, bunkers, shields, and fortified positions. But humans didn't fight traditionally. Jae Hong, a 19-year-old hacker from Busan, sat in a transport with a laptop. His fingers danced across the keyboard as he sent the ghost virus into Zorlian networks. Defense grids went dark. Life support systems malfunctioned. Traffic control sent civilian vehicles crashing into military checkpoints. Their entire infrastructure is digital, Jay laughed. They never considered someone might hack it all at once. Zorlian soldiers emerged from their bunkers to find their weapons wouldn't fire. Their shields flickered and died. Their communication systems broadcast human war songs instead of orders. They stumbled around in confusion as Marines advanced through the city. Yuna led from the front. She kicked down the door of the central atmospheric processor and her team rushed in. Zorlian guards tried to stop them but moved too slowly. Human reflexes, honed by millions of years on a deadly world, made them seem like they were moving in fast forward compared to the aliens. Within 2 hours, humans controlled the processor. Dr. Narihan's specialists went to work, adjusting the temperature and humidity levels. The comfortable Zorlian climate became hot and dry, not enough to kill, but enough to make every breath painful for their gill breathers. All across the planet, similar operations unfolded. Human forces were small in number but devastatingly effective. They fought in conditions that would kill most council species: underground tunnels with minimal oxygen, toxic industrial zones, and areas with crushing gravity. In space, Sora received reports from other strike teams. Taeyang Kim led a raid on a council supply depot and destroyed enough food and fuel to support a fleet for months. Yoonji Song, who had survived the Battle of Luna by ejecting at the last second, led bomber runs against council shipyards. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Minji An was a diplomat, not a warrior. While others fought, she made contact with the Vraxian Empire, the species that had abstained from the slavery vote and secretly helped humanity before. "We cannot openly ally with you," the Vraxian ambassador said over a secure channel, "but we can recognize what is happening." The council made a grave error. They forced a death world species to fight for survival. Now they're learning what that means. "Will you help us?" Minji asked. "We already are. 6 council species have contacted us in secret. They want to defect. They're terrified of what humans might do to their worlds." Minji's eyes widened. 6 species? That would break the council's unity. Exactly. And the Keltorian hive has also reached out to you. They're willing to provide weapons technology if you promise to spare their worlds. This was the leverage Earth needed. Minji worked frantically, opening secret negotiations with the defecting species. She promised safety in exchange for support. She offered trade agreements instead of conquest. She showed them that humans could be reasonable allies, not just terrifying enemies. On Zorlax Prime, the planetary governor requested a meeting with General Yuna Im. The Zorlian leader looked miserable. Its skin dried and cracked from the altered atmosphere. "Please," the governor begged, "we surrender. Just restore our atmosphere." Yuna studied the alien carefully. "You voted to enslave my species. You sent ships to destroy my home. Why should I show mercy?" "Because we were wrong," the governor cried. "We thought you were primitive. We thought you were weak. We were told it would be easy. Please, our people are suffering." Yuna was silent for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. "Here are my terms. You will publicly withdraw your support for Earth's enslavement. You will provide intelligence on council military positions. You will allow human forces to use your system as a staging ground. And you will pay reparations for every human life lost in this war." "Yes. Yes, anything. And one more thing," Yuna added coldly. "Every Zorlian will remember this day. Every time you look at the sky and see our ships, you'll remember that you attacked us first. We didn't come to your world to conquer it.
We came because you tried to take ours. The governor nodded frantically.
Within hours, the Zorlian atmosphere was restored. Yuna's forces withdrew to orbit, leaving behind a chastened population and a government that would never vote against humanity again. News of the Zorlian surrender spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The Council, gathering its second invasion fleet, suddenly faced a crisis. 6 species openly defected, refusing to send more ships. The Vraxian Empire announced it would defend its borders against aggressive Council expansion. The Keltorian Hive shared shield technology with humans. The Council was fracturing. Admiral Sora, Yoon stood on the Bridge of Defiance, watching the reports come in. Taiyang joined her, his uniform stained with carbon scoring from a close call during his raid. "We're winning," Taiyang said quietly. "Not just battles. We're winning the war." "Not yet," Sora replied. "The Council still has enough loyalists to crush us. But now they're afraid. And afraid enemies make mistakes." Jiwan Li appeared on the comm, speaking from Earth. "Sora, intelligence reports that the Council's Supreme Command is preparing a final solution. Planet killer weapons. They're planning to destroy Earth entirely." Sora felt ice in her veins. "How long do we have?" "Unknown. But the weapons are being moved to the Tarian system for deployment. It's their staging ground." Sora made her decision instantly. "All ships, new course. We're going to Tarian. We're going to destroy those weapons before they can use them." Taeyang stared at her. "Tarian is the most heavily defended system in Council space. It's suicide." "So was fighting at Luna," Sora replied. "So was invading Zorlax Prime. We've been defying the odds since this war started. One more time won't hurt." Across human space, forces mobilized for the desperate gambit. Every ship that could fly joined the assault. Volunteers who had never seen combat, trained in days to be soldiers. The entire human race held its breath. The Council wanted to end the war with one devastating strike. Instead, they were about to face humanity's full fury. Because humans had learned something important. When you fight for survival, nothing is suicide. It's just another battle. And this battle would decide everything. Win and humanity would break the Council's will. Lose and Earth would burn. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, racing toward Tarian. Behind them, the 6 defector species quietly mobilized, ready to join humanity when the moment came. The Vraxian Empire positioned its fleet on the Council's border. The Keltorian Hive prepared to jam Council communications. The galaxy held its breath. The impossible species from the Death World was about to attempt the impossible once again. The Tarian system blazed with defensive platforms, minefields, and over 500 Council warships. At its center, 3 massive vessels carried Planet Killer, weapons capable of igniting Earth's atmosphere and turning the entire world into a burning tomb. Admiral Sora Yoon studied the tactical display from the Bridge of Defiance. Her fleet numbered just 47 ships after the Zorlax Prime operation. The odds were worse than impossible. They were laughable. "Any sane commander would turn around," Captain Kyung-woo said from the newly completed Dreadnought Retribution. The massive ship bristled with weapons, including humanity's most carefully guarded secret, singularity missiles that could tear holes in space itself. "Good thing I'm not sane," Sora replied. "All ships prepare for jump. We're going straight to the Council homeworld." Every commander on every ship stared at their screens in shock. "Admiral, did you say homeworld?" Taeyang Kim asked from the horizon. "I did. The Council expects us to attack Tarian, so we're not going there. We're going to cut off the head of the snake." It was insane. It was brilliant. It was the most human strategy imaginable. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, bypassing the Tarian defenses entirely. They emerged in orbit of Krelis 3, the Council's capital world. The planet below housed the Grand Chamber where 53 species had voted to enslave Earth. Now, 47 human ships hung in orbit. Weapons locked on the city below. Chaos erupted on the Council homeworld. Defense forces scrambled. Evacuation alarms blared. The Council members themselves rushed to their private escape ships. Taeyang Kim, now an admiral himself, opened a channel that broadcast to every ship, every station, and every world in the Council's space. "People of the galaxy," he began. His voice was calm but carried the weight of righteous fury. "Months ago, your leaders voted to enslave my species. They sent armies to our world. They tried to chain us, to break us, to use us as tools. On Kralis 3, the council members watched in horror as human weapons charged. We fought back, Taeyang continued. We bled. We died, we won. And now we stand here at your capital, with the power to do to you what you tried to do to us. Sora added her voice to the broadcast. We could destroy this world. We could glass your cities. We could show you the same mercy you showed us. None. In the grand chamber, the remaining council members huddled together. The speaker trembled as it watched the human fleet on the view screen. But we won't, Sora said. Because unlike you, we understand that revenge isn't the same as justice. President Sunho John appeared on screen, speaking from Earth. The former philosophy professor had become humanity's leader through the crisis, and now his words would shape the galaxy's future. We offer you a choice, Sunho said. End this war. Accept Earth as a full member of the Council with equal voting rights. Pay reparations for the lives you've taken. Punish those who voted for our enslavement. Do this and we leave in peace. The speaker found its voice. And if we refuse? Hyungwoo smiled coldly from retribution. Then we show you what happens when you corner a predator. He activated the singularity missiles, not firing them, just letting their power readings show on every sensor in the system. These weapons can collapse space, Kyung explained. We could tear a hole in reality right where your planet sits. Everything within a light year would be pulled into nothingness. Your world, your sun, everything. The Council understood. Humanity hadn't just beaten them militarily. Humans had developed weapons that could destroy entire star systems, and they were willing to use them, but there was more. Minjian's diplomatic efforts bore fruit at that crucial moment. Council members, Minji broadcast. The Varaxian Empire, the Keltorian Hive, and 6 other species have formally allied with Earth. They stand with us now. If you continue this war, you'll fight half the galaxy. On cue, the Allied fleets jumped into the system. Dozens of ships from the defector species appeared alongside humanity's vessels. The Varaxians brought heavy cruisers. The Keltorians brought carrier groups. Together, they outnumbered the Council's home defense. The speaker looked at its fellow Council members. Many wouldn't meet its eyes. They had voted for slavery thinking it was safe, easy, and profitable. Instead, they had awakened a species that fought with a desperation and creativity they couldn't match. We need time to discuss, the speaker began. You have 1 hour, Sora interrupted. After that, we open fire. The council chambers erupted in panicked debate. Some members wanted to fight to the death. Others begged for surrender. The Dravik representative, who had argued most strongly for enslaving Earth, sat in silence, all the fight gone from its eyes. Boram Shin monitored council communications from her station. Admiral, I'm picking up something interesting. 23 council members are privately communicating with each other. They're planning to vote against continuing the war. Jiwan Lee, coordinating with Earth's military, added, Our remaining forces at Tarian report the planet killer ships are powering down. Their crews are abandoning them. The council was breaking. 47 minutes later, the speaker appeared on screen again. The council has voted, it said, its voice defeated. 47-6. We accept your terms. Sora let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Transmit the full terms. We want it in writing, signed by every member. The agreement came through within minutes. Earth would join the council as a full member. War reparations would be paid over the next decade. The 6 species that voted to continue the war would be sanctioned and stripped of military rights. And most importantly, a new law would be passed. No species could ever be enslaved by council vote again. But Sora wasn't finished. One more thing. The council wanted us to provide soldiers. Fine, Earth will become the council's military arm, but we train your forces. We set the standards, and we command all joint operations. If another threat comes to this galaxy, you'll be grateful to have us. The council had no choice but to agree. They had tried to make Earth a slave world. Instead, Earth had become the most powerful member of their alliance. General Yuna Im led her Marines in a parade through the council capital. Not as conquerors, but as peacekeepers. The message was clear. Humans could destroy, but they chose to protect. Dr. Nari Han established scientific exchanges, sharing Earth's medical advances with species that had tried to enslave them. We show them what they could have had through friendship instead of through force. Jan Beck opened hospitals on former council worlds, treating species that had fought against humanity. We're better than they thought, he said. Let's prove it every day. Jae Hong helped rebuild the networks his virus had destroyed. but not before teaching council species about cybersecurity. Now they'll think twice before assuming technology makes them superior. Do-Hyun Kang organized cultural exchanges, showing the galaxy Earth's music, art, and stories. Humans became not just feared warriors but respected artists and thinkers. Taeyang Kim retired from military service, his mission complete. He returned to Earth and wrote a book about the war, ensuring that humanity would never forget the cost of freedom. Hana Park, Earth's original ambassador, became the first human council chancellor. She guided policy with wisdom earned through pain. 50 years passed. A new threat emerged from beyond the galaxy's edge. Dark ships with unknown technology appeared, attacking council worlds indiscriminately. Species that had once voted to enslave Earth now came begging for human help. Admiral Sora Yoon, now old but still sharp, stood before the council. The chamber was different now. Earth's banner hung alongside the others. Human representatives sat as equals. "You're asking us to fight for you," Sora said. "The same species that voted to enslave us now wants us to save them." The current council speaker, a young being who had been born after the war, nodded. "We were wrong. Our ancestors were wrong, but we've changed. Will you help us?" Sora looked at the gathered representatives. Some species she recognized from the war. Others were new members who had joined the reformed council. All of them waited for humanity's answer. She smiled. "Of course we'll help. Because unlike you once did, we understand something important. We're all in this together. You wanted to enslave us because you feared our strength. Now you'll see that strength used to protect you." Earth's fleets mobilized. Human commanders led council forces against the new threat. And just as the galaxy had once learned to fear humanity, the new invaders learned that same lesson. But they learned something else too. Humans didn't just fight to win. They fought to protect. The species that had been sentenced to slavery had become the galaxy's greatest defenders. The war against the new threat was brutal, but humanity prevailed. Because that's what humans did. They survived. They adapted. They won. And when it was over, when the galaxy was safe again, Sora stood before the council one last time. "They voted to enslave us," she said, looking at the assembled species. "We voted to save them. That's the difference between humans and everyone else. That's what we learned on our death world. That's what we brought to the stars. Strength tempered by compassion, fury guided by justice, and the absolute refusal to kneel to anyone who tries to put us in chains." She smiled, older now but unbowed. "We were sentenced to slavery. Instead, we earned our freedom and gave it to others. That's the human way. That's our gift to the galaxy.